I suspect foul play. Hey everybody, thanks for coming back to Movie in the Middle. Sorry it's been a little bit since I've gotten out a couple of things. I got out the Giver review, and I was planning, I had a couple other things to be able to put out, but I had to put those on hold. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the new Copa thing that's come out recently, but the basic the basic idea is that YouTube doesn't want or is not allowed to target ads to children. So any YouTuber who puts up a video has to designate whether it is for children or not. And that seems like it would be pretty simple, except for the fact that if you click that it is not for children, just to be safe, and somebody on the other end says that it could be for children, you get fined $42,000. So a lot of YouTubers are very scared right now. A lot of other people are making videos exactly like this one explaining it. A lot of people have shut down their channels, and obviously for very good reasons. I don't have $42,000 to throw around for each video that they deem I got wrong. But for right now, the videos that are still up there, I'm going to keep up there because I only had a few. I think it's going to be okay. I was debating taking them down. I may or may not. If I do, I'll probably put them up somewhere else, or I'll put them back on later. But for right now, for the foreseeable future, this is kind of where we are in terms of the videos that I'm going to be putting up. I want to make sure that whatever I put up, I can confidently say this is not for children, just so I assure myself I won't get fined $42,000. And there is one way I can do that for sure that would not completely compromise the integrity of my channel while also confirming that children under the age of 13 would not be allowed to watch this, and that is to add some few choice words into the video here and there that I would put a disclaimer for. So let's fucking do this. So today we're going to be talking about Knives Out, which is one of the movies I have been anticipating for a few months now. As soon as I saw the trailer for that, I knew that this was going to be a movie that my family would want to see, because we usually try to see a movie the weekend after Thanksgiving, and this was it. This was the one that we were going to see because it looked super fun, but also like it was a good mix looking of fun, but not like stupid comedy, and serious, but not like heavy. It was like a really cool like middle, like Clue. So we were really excited to see it, and it did not disappoint. It lived up from at least for me to what I was expecting. So Knives Out is written and directed by Rian Johnson, who I can't remember if he wrote it or not, but I know he at least directed The Last Jedi, which was a very controversial release for a lot of people, especially considering it's a huge Star Wars fans and everything. But this movie, I think, is definitely out of the two at least it's tighter. The cinematography is wonderful, and the production design is just cool in and of itself. So I definitely am going to give him that, for both The Last Jedi and this. But this one, I think, as a story, as a plot, it is way tighter and really serves the purpose for it being a mystery movie. Basically, the Knives Out is about an author, mystery novel writer who has a couple children, like this whole family, grandchildren, everybody, and he is killed somehow, and nobody knows who did it, obviously. And there is an inspector or detective in addition to other police who come in and try to figure out who done it. He has a will He was putting everybody in, and everybody sort of seems to have some sort of motive for being able to do it. So your classic murder mystery stuff. But here's the thing. They have a new way sort of telling the narrative. We've seen murder mysteries all the time, everywhere. And, there's always something new that you have to put in to be able to be like, okay, why am I watching this one over another one? It has to have some sort of new angle. At least in like mainstream. This could have I'm sure this has been done before, but there is kind of an original way that at least I haven't seen before of showing the solving of the mystery. And at first it could seem counterproductive, especially for the audience, but it comes around and there is a reason for it. And it is very cool because it really keeps you on your toes. So the way that they told it was really interesting. At first, I wasn't a fan of it, and I wanted, but it made me wanted to see where it went. So there was definitely that, and it doesn't disappoint because there are surprises all over this movie. As far as the acting goes, I mean, this is filled with stars: Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Johnson, Michael Shannon, and obviously Daniel Craig and Chris Evans. I mean, I just keep thinking them because there are just stars all over this place. But for me, I mean, the outstanding performer was Daniel Craig. I mean, obviously because he's the your main inspector. One of my personal favorite parts of watching this movie was seeing Daniel Craig in this role because I've only ever seen him as one role, James Bond. And that James Bond is a very military, very quiet, and decisive James Bond. And we don't really get to see a whole lot of a fun side to him. So this was really a new direction, at least that I've seen, for Daniel Craig to go in because he was absolutely hilarious in this movie, and he was a joy to watch because not only was it just fun to see him do it, and his kind of quirky character, but they do this thing where they play on the idea of you don't know through the whole movie whether he's actually good at his job or if he's just kind of a bumbling fool who may stumble upon a clue. It's weird because it kind of goes back and forth. It all makes sense once you get to the end, but it's really interesting to see, like, does he actually know what he's doing? Or because they kind of sometimes play it off as he's sort of an idiot. So that was really funny and a really enjoyable new kind of take. Like the quirkiness of Poirot with the fun, enjoyable aspect of Columbo. I mean, it was kind of all put together in this one character. In terms of all the other acting, I mean, it was great. I mean, everybody, these well-renowned actors, they did a wonderful job, especially in playing kind of two-sided people. Obviously, with a murder mystery, you're going to have people who are lying. You're going to have people who seem like they're one thing, but they're another. And all of that really came in well, that you could see, even if you found out, okay, they're more like this or they're more like this, you could see how when they were acting a certain way, how you could believe it before, and also after you could believe, you know what, I guess they were faking it. It's just all these little nuances. And that's another thing that I loved about this movie, is that every single detail, every single line, everything comes back by the end. It closes itself up. Every loose end is pretty much tied up, except for like one really small thing that isn't that big of a deal, but I think would have been cool to include in towards the end, that I think they could have done something with. But besides that, every single thing is presented to you. You don't even realize it, like a good mystery does, but you don't even realize it because there's like one shot where they say something and it comes back towards the end. I wasn't even focused on what they were saying because the shot was so cool and so symbolic. So, I mean, it was just things like that where they're doubling up on good and good to make it even better because you're distracted by some things, and some things come back at the end that you're like, I should have thought of that the whole time. And that gets into something else that I think was a a very interesting aspect of this movie was that it gets very political. And I would not have thought that it would in something like this. You know, it's at first glance, maybe a little bit, but it gets pretty political more and more. Not even in the fact of the narrative, but just there is a scene where they're just, I mean, it connects with what comes later, but they're just talking politics, and there are characters who are um, bashing each other for being on the right or on the left or whatever it is, and it's kind of I think a satire on where we are in our society and labeling people. I thought at first I was like, why are we including this? I mean, yeah, I guess it's interesting to put in to really show that this family is at each other's throats, Knives Out. But it comes up. It's actually extremely important later on. And it becomes more important and more apparent for the narrative, which I thought gave it a whole new level of gravity and a whole new importance to this mystery. That it wasn't just a mystery, but it's actually bigger than we thought. So if you go in and you're like, okay, why are they bashing on this or that, or why are they talking politics? It's for a reason. In terms of details coming back at the end and the politics, both together, right in the last shot, are great. They're just they're fucking wonderful. If I had one or two, maybe even like small aspects. For me, some of the pacing got a little bit off, especially towards the end, and it does come up with that that idea that it is subverting your expectations and it is not trying to be like every other murder mystery. It's trying to be something different and interesting. So I can definitely see why they would go that way, and it all does make sense narratively towards the end. I need to watch it again because towards the end, it gets a little hard to follow, but other than that, I mean, everything else was pretty airtight. The comedy, the narrative itself, the acting, it was all pretty, and the production design, like I said before, I loved it. All of it, especially, what you've seen in the trailers is the knives all around. They never really explain what it is. They just kind of assume that you're like, okay, this guy's a murder mystery writer. This is a cool piece he has in his room. It's kind of symbolic in a few ways in this movie, the more I think about it. Just in terms of how things go, even up to, I'm not even kidding, even up to a joke that comes back a few times in the movie towards the end. And when you watch the movie and you see that joke and you know what I'm going to talk, what I'm talking about once you see it, just think of Shape. That's all I'm going to say. So I loved this movie. It had like maybe one or two really small things that I was confused about, or small things that I would even maybe call a criticism. But other than that, this was one of the most enjoyable movies I have seen this year. Maybe the most enjoyable. I'm not because I mean it's original and it was fun to watch. I was in it the whole time. It had like one or two scenes that I would maybe call my favorite scene of the year, at least close to it. And overall, it was just a really fun movie to watch. If you're looking for something to sit down with for a few hours and just get away and enjoy, I would definitely go see Knives Out. I'm going to give Knives Out a 3.5 out of 4. All right, guys, so that's the movie review for Knives Out. Keep coming back to the channel because I'm going to be putting more stuff up now that I kind of know what I can do to avoid this whole cop-out, or at least confirm for myself that I can keep putting up videos without the scare of maybe being fined. This was just kind of, I think, a test run for that. I put in some cuss words, the beginning and the end, and maybe the next couple times they'll be everywhere. Shit, I don't know. Yeah, keep coming back. I'm going to be putting more things up now that I know what to do. There will be a couple that I had planned that I don't think I can put up right now. One of them was a review. One of them was a podcast, the Art Takes podcast with Tim, just because I don't know how to designate them. So I don't want to put them up just yet, because I want to be able to put them up and have people enjoy them without me having the scare of, will this pass? The COPPA regulations, which are kind of vague. I'll keep you guys updated. We're going to be coming out with a couple more reviews here, because the more I see every movie I've seen a trailer for, that I'm like, yeah, I should see that. It's coming out within the next 3 weeks, and I'm like, I can't see them all. But I'm gonna try to do my best. I'm gonna be seeing A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood this week, so hopefully I can get out a review for that. And I'm really hoping by the end of the year to do at least one more besides that. I'm hoping Star Wars. If not, that'll be the first one of next year, and maybe Cats. So stay tuned for those, and also the end of the year rankings and end of the decade rankings, which I'm really excited to do. So as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. Okay, so I just realized that just as I was about to be done editing this review, that I didn't even mention two of the best parts of the review of the movie. I don't know how I did that. Curse you, Daniel Craig, and your awesome acting. No, but the two of the greatest parts of this movie. And I say that because I mentioned that I have like a favorite scene, and they are what make up my favorite scene of this movie. So first, Ana de Armas, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Armas. I have never seen her in anything else. I feel like this was possibly introducing her. I don't know if she's been in anything else, but she was great. I mean, she was wonderful. She acted. There were so many different emotions, but she did a wonderful job in portraying this character, who is besides Daniel Craig kind of the lead character. So props to her, and then also to Christopher Plummer, who I don't know how old this man is. I feel like he's been like 85 or 90 for like 20 years now. Because every time I see him, he doesn't seem to have aged since like 2000. Because he was in National Treasure, and he was like older there. He was in Sound of Music, which was like in the 60s? 60s. So this man is like, everyone's talking about Betty White. But Christopher Plummer is never gonna die, and that's a good thing, because wow, he still, I mean, acts. The fact that he remembers all of his lines and can still act wonderfully, and I mean, there is one line in this movie that he put over that just haunted me, and it was so great. It's probably one of my favorite parts of this entire movie, just how he put over that line. So I just wanted to mention those two because they did an excellent job, and they were part of my favorite scene. Yeah, so I just wanted to add that on. I can't believe I forgot about them, but cool.